So this is the Green Harbor Freight 1700 PSI pressure washer. It's a small self-contained unit, and it worked great for, I don't know, I've had it probably 3 years. Worked great for a couple of years, and then I used it a bunch on the deck, and then it sat. And when I went to reuse it yesterday, when I would use the wand, I'd turn it on, and the wand would it would activate the pump. The pump would run for, I don't know, 5 seconds, and we turn off, then we turn back on, and that cycle would repeat ad nauseum. Sometimes it would work normally, and it would just stay on when you close the handle, but normally it would just do that oscillation back and forth, on off. So I disconnected as a test, I disconnected the wand, the high pressure hose, and then I turned the pump on, and pump worked normally. It stayed on, making, low pressure because the hose wasn't there, but the pump was running and it was working normally. So that's when I decided to get in here and check this out, because the mechanism, when you let go of the handle on the wand, it should shut off. That's how this one's supposed to work. The motor should, the pump should shut off. And so when I took it apart, here's what I found. So this assembly, this switch is normally closed, which means it's conducting, and the pump is on whenever this plunger is extended like it is now. And I think the way the circuit works is that the inlet water comes in through that pipe, goes up through the pump, and then the pump starts. So it'll prime the system if the handle is closed on the wand. And then as a consequence, because it's closed and water can't get out, if the back pressure pushes on this. And as you can see, that plastic bit moves up and then essentially opens the circuit. Oh, sorry, this is hard to activate like this. Here we go. So that would shut off the pump. So that's pump on, that's pump off. So I think that's how this circuit actually works. So this piece goes in here, that screws in there. It's a 22 millimeter. And then this bit here goes inside here. Piece is installed in here. It rests against the shoulder. The back pressure forces the spring to compress. This nub comes out, and then it activates this, which in turn creates a wedge and pushes on the switch. So I think this is why this is the problem I was having. But anyway, this works well. It opens and closes freely. There's no problem. So, and then on the outlet side, there's this little plastic piece where the water goes through it. And then there's also a little spring. So I've thoroughly cleaned all these. I actually took the O-rings off and then cleaned all the lands and oiled up the O-rings a little bit. That O-ring I actually changed. It's pretty brittle, and same thing here. So I've just cleaned everything up. I went through and cleaned the manifold assembly a little bit further, removed all these plugs, really cleaned the inside really well. There was a lot of mineral deposits and debris in there, so I took it fully apart, cleaned it a little bit more. And for these assemblies, it's pretty straightforward. There's essentially a couple of pieces that go in there. There's an O-ring that sits on this plastic spring assembly, and this upper cup bit is what goes in first. So you have like this goes in, so that's what it should look like. And then the cap has an O-ring, and that goes over. This gets tightened down, and this happens for all 6 of these ports. And I'm going to reassemble it now, but I think this should take care of it, because I could not move this piece. I couldn't get it to come out of the manifold. I had to hit it pretty hard to get it out. Well, it's pretty small, so I just had to put a little effort into it to get it out. And this piece, these are all very dirty. This was just full of oxidation. It was all gummed up inside there, as you saw. So this has all been cleaned. So, and a little bit of oil on the O-rings just to get stuff moving again. So I'm just going to put it all back together, and I'll show it to you when it's assembled again. And maybe in the process, I can do an intermediate test. That switch can be tested by pressing on that white bit, you can see that's the spring-loaded pin that pushes on that lever assembly up into the switch. So I'm going to push that with a screwdriver, and we should be able to hear the switch activate. I can hear it clearly, so that seems to be working just fine. So I was just curious about the electrical switch and how it's protected, and good plastic, got a little ring cap in here, lots of protection from water and spray. To get to the switch, you just remove those two screws, these upper two screws, and this will pull off. There's a little cam mechanism to activate the switch. Looks like it's a double pull, single throw, and looks pretty common. Looks like a 15 amp switch. Anyway, I'm sure it's easy to find. And yeah, that's it. So if it needs to be replaced, it's really easy to get to. And so manifold assembly's all done. I reconnected both ends on the switch side. So that spring assembly and wedge is inside there. Right at the base at the end, there's the spring assembly. In the middle, there's another spring assembly. And then we have the plunger and spring assembly in here. So it's all reassembled. I'm going to put it into just the back half of the case so I can test it. That way, if there are any issues, it'll be easy to take apart again. And it's really simple to get the pump out. There's just this bolt here, that bolt, and then on the bottom, I just laid it down. There's this little wedge assembly, and that just supports the base here. So this just slides in here. And then there's two screws. These two screws get tightened, and it's good to go. The pressure washer's ready to test. Water's connected. It's plugged in. The pressure washer has its own GFCI circuit, so that's all good. So when I turn this on, it should prime it and then stop. So it should build pressure and then stop because the wand is closed. It's not flowing. So let's do that. So that's good. So it made pressure, turned off like it should. Let's see what the wand does now. So when I open this, it should run. When I close it, it should stop. Yep, it's working perfectly. So before, what would happen is I'd pull the handle in. And it would start and stop. It would not stay on. So looks like everything's working good.